Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
What a long game week that's been, eh, mate?
It certainly has. It's been drawn out. Games on most days, points trickling in. It felt like people were on over 100 within the first few games on Twitter anyway.
Yeah,
a lot of high
mate.
scores being posted. Don't blame them, to be honest. I'd be shouting about it if I was on 167.
There's some fucking huge scores out there, and I think it's Mode has been obviously tweeting about his score, and he's got 140 with 6 to play and whatnot. But I really don't understand this bit where people are then tearing into others for posting their good scores, and I'm like, well, no, isn't that what the FPL community is about? I mean, I post my score every week. I do a thread, so people see the shit scores and the good scores. But you're going to brag about it, surely.
Well, of course. Otherwise, why are you playing it? Like, I don't really get the whole hashtag PTS thing. Like, if you're that triggered by a game, you shouldn't be playing it.
It's exactly what we said last week, wasn't it? If a virtual game can affect your mental health, then stop playing.
Yeah, simple. It's not worth it. So it's about enjoyment. Like, I enjoy the frustration.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same. I enjoyed the panic. Like even in Sky, for instance, not knowing that you've got 5 points here or 5 points there, and you don't see the update, particularly in the cup, which we'll come on to later. It's worrying, but at the same time, I quite enjoy that buzz of thinking, "Oh shit! Like, have I done it?" So we'll find out shortly. Right, I think we should jump straight into it because there's a hell of a lot of fucking games to get onto. So first things first, it was Wolves 2, West Brom 3, and quite a surprising result.
Surprising result and a great game. Didn't really expect the performance from Samuel Allardyce's men, or obviously Pereira. Obviously, Ross FPL on Twitter did. He captained him.
Shout out to the bastard, yeah.
He seems to be known for that. He tends to pick the differentials, and it really paid off this week. Fantastic players, Pereira. I think without Pereira, West Brom would be even further, probably rooted to the bottom of the table, to be honest, down there with Sheffield United. Like, he's been an excellent player. Like, he provides real flair and creativity. I think, like, if he was playing for Leicester, then Leicester would be even better than they already are.
Yeah, well, I mean, unknown to everybody else, he was 100% the player to be on and captain this double game week. He got 24 fucking points. So, it's not bad at all, is it?
About KDB and Bruno, but really,
yeah. I mean, one player that did attempt to keep up with him in the game was obviously Bolly, coming back into the Wolves setup, got himself a goal and an assist, picked up a couple of bonus points as well. Looked particularly threatening going forward, which was good to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's sort of known for from corners. He's quite a good threat, similar to Zuma in that manner. That's why he was in my Sky team a few weeks back. I took him out, obviously, because he became out of favour, and frustratingly now he's back in and he's doing what he can do. So one to potentially watch out for is Bolly. Just see how his minutes are and potentially get him in.
Yeah, and obviously the news that took everybody by surprise was Sam Johnston missing out in this game because of COVID, and obviously Button stepping in. Kind of fucked both of us over there slightly, didn't it?
Oh, it really did. I was very angry. Like, what a shit start to your bench boost. Literally the first game and your goalkeeper isn't playing. I held him with this bench boost in mind. There's no real good reason to have two playing goalkeepers unless you've got a really good fixture rotation.
Yeah.
But I just purely held on Johnston because I knew I was going to be playing my bench boost and I wanted to have a playing keeper. Obviously, he did play in the second game, but at this point in the game week, I didn't think that was happening. I thought he's going to miss both games, head in hand, to be honest.
Nah, same. I mean, both my keepers had COVID. I was quite lucky that Sam Johnson fucking came in for a couple of points in the game following this one. So. Right, let's jump on to the second game, and obviously the second game in which Meslier had COVID, and it was Leeds 0, Brighton 1.
A disappointment, no doubt, for most Leeds asset owners. I thankfully was only on Bamford, but I did expect more from Bamford in this game, hence why he sort of remained in my bench boost and in my team, even with a single fixture. people were talking like he could get a brace. I thought that as well, but the state of the pitch, I understand, was not the best, was it, Matt?
Oh, it was awful. Honestly, I've played on better Sunday league pitches. Watching the game, you could see that they've obviously had a deluge of snow and rain over the last couple of weeks, and the fact that the groundsman even got a game out of that pitch was brilliant. But Leeds struggled on it, and you could tell it's been affecting their game for a couple of weeks. And I think a lot of people have picked up on that across the community now. I did read today, however, that Tottenham have sold Leeds their NFL pitch. That has obviously not been used because the NFL games aren't taking place. And Leeds are going to get that starting to lay today or tomorrow with a view to have it ready come the Everton game, which is in Gameweek 22, because they've got 2 away games next. So I think that gave them the time to sort their pitch, and they've realised it's a problem.
Well, good job they are. For the sake of anyone that's on Leeds players, you want them to be able to play their game, and they need a good pitch to do that.
Yeah, you don't often see a pitch relayed middle of the season, do you?
No, you don't. It's normally a kind of a pre-season thing, but there we go.
Leeds assets obviously failed to provide the goods that a lot of people thought they would. I had Bamford in this one. I think I benched Rafinha. Just, obviously Leeds didn't have the double game week with the Saints game being called off, and wasn't really what we expected, which is unfortunate. But hopefully, maybe playing a couple of away games on some better pitches might up their form in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's worth holding.
Right, next game, and the return of Mikel Antonio. It was West Ham 1, Burnley 0.
Yeah. Well, he came back. I didn't get on him because I was preoccupied with my triple West Ham defence, which in this game paid off.
Yep.
3 clean sheets. Ogbono is someone I wanted for this double game week because obviously he'll play pretty much every game, 90 minutes. So I wanted that certainty at 5 million. I got him in a couple of weeks prior to this week.
Yeah, you did.
And he had a clean sheet, I think, the week before the bench boost. So that paid off. I did actually contemplate captaining Ogbono, which would have been a bit of an interesting one. And it would have scored more than my captain, as you'll find out later.
Yeah.
But yeah, very good performance for West Ham. Only a bit lacking. But yeah, Antonio, obviously you brought him in.
Oh, I was thrilled. I brought him in both Sky and FPL, and it paid off massively. I just wish I'd captained him. That would have been good. I didn't really expect him to get goals in both the games, which we'll touch on shortly. But I did see, I think someone, I can't remember their name, but someone in the community captain Cresswell. And obviously that paid off just from this first game. Clean sheet, 2 bonus points, good start to your double game week, really.
It's a very good shout, is Cresswell. Unfortunately, I didn't have the funds to get him. So I got the likes of Craig Dawson, but Craig Dawson for 4.5 is a bargain.
Yeah, I thought you were so unlucky as well. Pretty sure it was in the first half, and Bonner had a great chance to score. And at that point, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. James has got triple defence. He's going to get a goal from somewhere. He's going to get an assist. He's going to fly. So I was counting my blessings when you just got the 3 clean sheets, and thankfully no other attacking returns from them, really.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I really thought I was going to get an Ogbono goal. Killed me, but I'll take the clean sheet.
Nah, for sure. Right. Fulham 0, Chelsea 1 is the next game. And not a game that, to be fair, I thought Chelsea particularly deserved to get the 3 points from.
Yeah, agreed. Another sort of relatively strong performance from Fulham. Fulham are looking like a tighter unit, as we said last week.
Yeah.
Very impressed by them, to be honest. I feel like they could even sort of push up mid-table, potentially.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right. Parker's got them defensively solid now. They're not looking like they're leaking goals. And obviously when you've got the likes of Lookman, bombing forward, they're sharp and they can catch people on the break. And that's what they were doing time and time again. They were kind of gunning for Chelsea, particularly towards the end of the second half, obviously, when they were looking to try and get back into the game. Mason Mount, I thought, played particularly well from Chelsea. He was probably the standout player. We obviously saw Zuma get dropped for this game. And Lampard came out with his comments of, he's looking for big personalities. So Rudiger played. If I was Zuma, I'm not sure how I'd feel about that. Base it on performance maybe, but don't come out and say, oh, well, I'm looking for a personality. So it's a cop out.
Yeah, a bit of a cop out. And as a Zuma owner, just infuriating to be honest. I own him in Sky. I own him in official FPL. So it was a real hammer blow to see him not feature.
Yeah, he caused a lot of people headaches in Sky. I think I've moved him on now, but most of us were like, oh, for fuck's sake, like really? And quite a few of us held on just in case for the next game, and he was dropped again. So fucking useless. But other than that, yeah, Werner, when he came on, once again, went one-on-one, put his chance wide. He just looked so bereft of confidence. I saw that, I think it was Tactician, had brought him in for this double game week, and I really felt for him when obviously, one, he didn't start, and then two, he came on and missed that glorious chance. He's a frustrating player at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, he really is. And one I'm not even thinking about owning.
God, no. And talking about frustration, let's move on to Leicester 2, Southampton 0.
Shit on all fronts for me. Vardy owner, Southampton fan.
Yeah.
Got neither. No Vardy goal, no Vardy assist, but we still lost.
Yeah, frustrating. As soon as I saw that lineup, obviously we've been hit by injury after injury after injury, and I think 7 out of the 8 players on the bench were kids at the end of the day. We're missing Redmond, we were missing Ings for the game. Obviously, Romeo's missing, Vestergaard. It's hitting us quite hard. So I think we've done well, and we put up a really good performance in the first half. I was incredibly impressed with how we played. But then obviously for Maddison to get that late goal, I think it gave Leicester a bit of confidence going forward. We were trying to, get back into the game maybe in the second half, and then tiredness and that caught up with us towards the end. And then obviously Barnes went through and got his goal. But I think I was particularly impressed with both Maddison and Tielemans, his Leicester assets.
Yeah, very impressed again for me. Barnes obviously doing the business, but I don't want to go near him. I've been stung too many times with rotation. I mean, how could he rotate him in this form, you'd say? But I wouldn't put anything past Rodgers, to be honest, with Barnes. So I'd be more inclined to go Maddison.
Yeah, the only thing obviously with that is we'll come on to it, but we've had some Vardy news today. So that might potentially mean that Barnes kind of cements his position, because he's probably one of the only ones alongside Perez with a bit of pace that can get in behind defences now. So it might be something to consider.
Very good point. Yeah, we'll cover that when we're talking about what we plan to do. Obviously, I own Jamie Vardy. So
you do, yeah. The only other thing that pissed me off about this game is obviously, Saints lost, Leicester kept a clean sheet. I own Fofana. The prick got booked, and then he got taken off before 60 minutes. So I didn't even benefit from that. I was so fucking annoyed.
I enjoyed that one quite a
bit. Right, let's move on to the Sunday games. And first things first, it was Sheffield United 1, Tottenham 3.
Kane and Son did the business in one game, maybe not to the extent I potentially hoped for with Sheffield United. I thought maybe one of them could get a brace. But I'll take it. I think many people didn't own them. They went off of one of them at the very least.
Yeah.
Maybe not both. They held maybe a Kane or a Son. But to see them both return was good. Obviously, a good talking point is Ndombele's goal.
Oh, stunning goal.
Beautiful goal.
Yeah.
You know, he had that in his locker, but there you go.
No, I had no idea. But yeah, to take it the way he took it, obviously look over his shoulder and then flick it back across goal, it was lovely to watch. But yeah, I was one of those that obviously I own Kane, I don't own Son. And I thought Son played well, and I was quite fortunate that he only got an assist. So I was counting my blessings in that one, that's for sure. But as going forward, Sheffield United, we say it every single week. Yeah, they got the win last week. We were pretty chuffed for them, and then they go back to old ways, and then didn't particularly put up much of a fight, in my opinion, and lost 3-1 at home.
I didn't really expect much from them, to be honest, though, in fairness to them against Spurs. I mean, they've scored as well, which is more than some teams will do against Spurs. So I think they'll just be moving on to the next one, to be honest. I think they wouldn't be too disheartened by that result.
No, in fairness, the next two they don't particularly want to look at, do they? It's Man United away and then Man City away. You can't really get much tougher than that at the moment.
Very true, but expectations are low at the same time. So people expect them to lose. Maybe they were prove us wrong.
Maybe. All right, Liverpool 0, Man United 0 in not really the thriller that we thought it could be.
No, both teams were very cautious. Understandably so. Neither team wanted to lose. That was basically the sort of summary of this game.
Yeah.
Don't know what your thoughts were on the game were.
It was just frustrating to watch. You expect this kind of game to have a bit of bite about it. Kind of a couple of goals here or there, but it was just quite boring. And even like the squad selection, you kind of looked at it and you thought, okay, maybe. But as soon as they started playing, I was just a bit disappointed. And I think that summed up the game in general, like disappointment, really.
Yeah, they said to go one of two ways, these real big games. You either get sort of a 3-2 kind of action-packed thriller where it's end to end and everything and anything is happening, or you get a dull 0-0 affair where neither team wants to really throw players forward and commit to trying to win.
Yeah, and I get, it's still early in the season, but the 3 points in this game were massive. And yeah, it's a point apiece at the end of the day, but that could prove pivotal towards the end of the season. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed, and I was particularly hoping that the next game would then provide the entertainment that I was really looking forward to finish my Sunday. And thankfully it did. It was Man City 4, Crystal Palace 0, and the mighty John Stones stepped up with 2 goals.
Unbelievable. Not good, especially when I was bringing in Ogbonna. The other asset I was considering was John Stones. Similar, I think Stones was actually 4.9 at that point.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and Ogbonna was 5. But I fancied West Ham's fixture over City's because City were playing Chelsea, and I fancied West Ham to get the clean sheet and for City not to, for Chelsea to score. But obviously I didn't see a 2-goal return coming a couple of weeks down the line.
No, nobody did, mate. Nobody did.
Exactly. So I'm not going to beat myself up about that one. But fair play to you, those of you that took the punt on him, because obviously Pep could have rotated him. I mean, he now looks to be nailed, but at that point, you didn't really know, like a couple of weeks ago when people were punting on him. So fair play. You've got a good attack and return there.
Yeah, that Stones and DS partnership, I think has cemented that back line. I mean, City are keeping clean sheet after clean sheet now. The question is, when are they next going to concede a goal, really? But I think the other disappointing bit about this game was the fact Cancelo got a rest, and that was annoying, particularly for my primary Sky team, because I have the back line of Cancelo and DS. So obviously to see Cancelo get a rest and then Stones get 29 points in Sky, fucking hurt. But thankfully I brought him in my cup team, and that definitely helped. So we'll come on to that when we talk about Sky, but that was probably one of the key turning points for my week. Gundogan, obviously another goal for him. Brilliant asset. 5.5 million, still only under 5% owned, which is unbelievable. But the fact he's got 5 goals in the last 8 games, he's playing well, isn't he?
You can't argue against it, to be honest. At that price point, it doesn't even matter if he sort of semi goes off the boil. I think you can either plonk him on your bench if they've got a tough fixture or play him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be on pens. So with KDB out as well now, then it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. It's obviously, if you're looking for that cheaper alternative, I think he's going to stay in that squad now. The debate might be whether you go Gundogan or whether you go Foden. Obviously, with KDB's absence for the next, I think it's 6 weeks, is what I read earlier today. So yeah, I think there's definitely a spot for them, and if they want to play that kind of pivotal role and provide a bit of creativity, maybe those 2 are the ones to jump on if you wanted a new City midfield asset.
That's a very good point, because I normally discount Foden immediately due to fear of rotation. But if that's reduced, then suddenly it becomes a very attractive option.
Yeah,
so
might be time to step up. You never know.
Agreed.
Right, Monday night game. It was Arsenal 3, Newcastle 0, and the return of one Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
It's good for him to be back. We predicted a lot more from him at the start of the season.
We did.
But we weren't the only ones. A lot of people were salivating at the reclassification of him to a midfielder.
Yeah.
But it's just not worked for him so far this season. This is a good return, but I'd want to see a bit of consistency before going back onto him, especially at his price.
Yeah, and I'm not a massive fan of their run either. Like away to Saints, home to Man United, away to Wolves, away to Villa, then home to Leeds and Man City. It's a tough run of games. I can't see Arsenal running away with any of them. So maybe if he's still performing towards the end of the season, Arsenal have got a really nice run of fixtures. So it might be worth, if you want to take the gamble at that price to make some gains, might be worth going that way towards the end of the season. But for now, I think the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka provide really good Arsenal coverage if you wanted it. And obviously Arsenal defensively have improved, and the likes of Holding, bringing home some bonus points most weeks now. So I think, there's a lot cheaper alternatives for Arsenal that you can get on.
Definitely.
Right. Tuesday, it was West Ham 2, West Brom 1. And obviously another goal for both Antonio and Pereira.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy Pereira's goal. Obviously a triple clean sheet wipeout. I was hoping to get the triple clean sheet, if that makes sense. But yeah, Antonio, what great value. 6.3 million, I think he is.
Yeah, 6.3.
Yeah, if you want a cheap striker and you don't have, say, a Bamford, then it makes sense to go straight onto Antonio. Maybe still in addition to Bamford, save some money.
Yeah, he's still only owned by 10% of the game as well. So I expect that to rise, that's for sure.
Oh, I reckon it'll double, I reckon.
Yeah, and it's not like, they're struggling for fixtures. They've got some pretty good fixtures in the next 6. They play Fulham, Sheffield United, Palace. Arguably Liverpool are an easier fixture now, aren't they? So
They are. I'm sure Liverpool fans will have something to say about that. But yeah good pick.
Yeah, very. And Sam Johnson obviously recovered, so he got us a couple of points with his bonus points. So that was nice to see. Soufal, I thought played particularly well. We've spoken about him time and time again, but him bombing down the line, I think he was incredibly lucky, not unlucky, to only come away with 1 assist in this game. I thought he was really, really good. Again,
his delivery was on point. Excellent ball in for the assist he did get that got completed. Great value option. One that I brought in. I was one of the early adopters on Kufal. I was watching him play before he got his assist, and just the balls he was pinging in were it's only a matter of time before they got put away.
Yeah.
So if you've got him, hold him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Bench him if he's got difficult games. Just keep him.
Yep. All right. Next double game week game. It was Leicester 2, Chelsea 0, and an incredibly flat performance from Chelsea.
Yeah, a lot of people calling for sort of Frank Lampard's head after this game, or saying at least they need to look into getting rid of him. And you have to question him leaving out Zuma in these 2 games and 2 questionable defensive displays.
Yeah, obviously they kept the clean sheet against Fulham, but they weren't great.
No.
And then, to come away at Leicester, they didn't play particularly well. I think Leicester was dominant throughout. Maddison, once again, got another goal, particularly sharp. Barnes got another assist. Leicester continue with their attacking form. The news that Jamie Vardy has come out, obviously we saw him kind of limping off towards the end of the first game against Saints, and people were worried about him. He played again against Chelsea, but the news is now that he's going to be out for at least a few weeks because he's going to have a minor hernia operation. And they think that that's going to then hopefully help with his ongoing hip problem. So we'll have to wait and see. But obviously Vardy owners have now got a question to be asked and some decisions to make, really, don't they?
Yep. Well, I'm one of them, and it's thrown a spanner in the works, to say the least. I was looking forward to his fixture run because they've got a decent run of games. I even fancied doing the game away at Everton next, to be honest.
Yeah, and the other interesting asset that obviously no one's really talking about at the moment is Pereira. he's made a couple of substitute appearances, and both times he's come on wide on the wing in midfield. Obviously, a lot of people thought, he might then take Justin's place, but he's not. He's coming in and playing ahead. So that's one to keep an eye on. And particularly, obviously, with Vardy's injury, I'm really intrigued to see if Pereira then gets a slot in that midfield moving forward, because I think Rodgers is going to be incredibly reluctant to take out the likes of Justin, given how well they've been playing this season.
That's a very good point. The question is, will he be as effective playing there? Like, obviously he's further forward, but like his whole style is bombing on from like fullback. It'd be interesting to see how he plays that role.
Yeah, for sure. It's one that I'm keeping an eye on because, if he does start to pick up the odd return and he consistently gets games, given his incredibly low ownership in both FPL and in Sky, particularly, I think it might be something to consider. But it's one to watch for maybe the next couple of games and then make a decision then.
Oh, definitely. Like he's, we know what he can do. That's the thing. Very good attacking fullback. And if he is further forward, like you say, then he's got the potential for goals, assists. Very good delivery. So yeah, I'll be watching him as well. Thank you for alerting me to.
Looking forward to seeing it, for sure. But yeah, like you said, Leicester have got some good fixtures coming up. I mean, Everton, Leeds, Fulham, Wolves. After the Liverpool game, they've then got another nice run of fixtures. So I think their assets are going to be quite highly owned. And I expect probably at least double Leicester and a lot of teams in the next few weeks. Right. Next game, which is on the Wednesday, first things first, it was Man City 2, Aston Villa 0, and another clean sheet for Man City.
Yeah, they just don't look like they're going to concede at the moment, to be honest, which is great, as I own Diaz. Made some moves in Sky as well, which I'll come on later. But yeah, very, very impressive defensively. And they're still managing to get goals going forward as well. Obviously not coming from, they don't really have strikers at the moment.
No.
But coming from midfield, Gundogan, doing a decent job there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Villa, I thought, played particularly well, especially given, obviously they've not played in, was it 3 weeks with the COVID outbreak. I thought, they might look quite tired, bit lackluster. No, not at all. I thought they really took the game to City. And it was a moment of controversy, which obviously we're all aware of, that provided Bernardo Silva with his goal. But it was the Rodri coming back from what is obviously an offside position. I think the rule states that if he's not interfering with play and doesn't interfere with, Mings' touch, who deliberately plays the ball, then it's not offside. But Mings only makes that touch and tries to cut back because he knows that Rodri is coming in from behind him. So it's a bullshit rule. And I can see why Villa were completely aggrieved. And obviously we then saw Dean Smith get sent off on the stands. We've obviously given the ref a bit of jip to start with, and then asked him if he had got juggling balls for Christmas. And then because he said that, he got sent off.
Oh, I didn't know he said that.
Yeah.
What made me laugh is obviously he says something to him, gets the yellow, and then he adds something else and gets the red. Yeah, so that's the second bite of the cherry.
Apparently it was that, yeah. The initial yellow was for his reaction and obviously berating the referee. And then as the ref walks away, he says, I take it you got juggling balls for Christmas. I was like,
that's brilliant.
I don't blame him at all.
Villa played very well. And I was actually hopeful for a clean sheet. Martinez owner, I thought he was on for about 10 or 11 points. So I was quite gutted to see City score, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, so was I. I brought Martinez into my Sky team, and obviously seeing that it was 0-0 for a long period, I was sitting on, I think it was 3 City clean sheets, and obviously Martinez in goal arguably probably would have got man of the match. He made 7 saves, had he kept that clean sheet. It would have been a massive haul, but wasn't to be, which was unfortunate. But we obviously saw KDB, frustratingly, given a triple captain, the fucker, got taken off in, I think it was the 58th minute. What looked, to be an issue. De Bruyne doesn't often put his hand up and come off straight away. So that had me worried. And now Pep's comments today, I think initially we had thought it was 2 to 3 weeks. Pep seems to stipulate that it could be up to 6 weeks now that De Bruyne is missing. So, for those with him in Sky and in FPL, decisions have to be made. Sky particularly, we don't really want to be holding a Man City asset at that value. There's still 4 or 5 games for most teams before overhaul, so some big gains to be made there. And then his value in FPL, if we can move him on, I think we can spread the funds elsewhere, really, can't we?
I think you can. I mean, I don't own him, so I don't have that problem. But you could go to the likes of Bruno, Son. You're not already on them. There's plenty of options out there. But yeah, as you say, you can redistribute that value and then maybe get a premium defender, premium striker, whatever you want.
Yep. No, agreed. Right. Fulham 1, Man United 2 in another game in which Fulham looked particularly brilliant, but didn't come away with a result. And you've had a particular tweet that seems to have gone a bit viral since this game.
I have. I'm surprised people kept liking it, but I basically did a tweet, sort of slightly tongue-in-cheek, saying, get ready for the Lookman and Anguissa show. And it turns out the show went ahead. Couldn't believe my luck.
They saved your bench boost. Like, without them, your bench boost is shocking, mate. But the returns that these chaps got have saved it.
I wouldn't say shocking. We got Dawson on the bench with 8 as well.
But Zuma didn't play, so Dawson would have come on from anyway.
Yeah, but really, Zuma should have played. That's
not having it.
In my head, he played. So fantastic to see Lookman score. Great goal. And I didn't even realise at the time that Anguissa got the assist. So I was doubly delighted with that. So
that was funny, obviously.
Really impressive the last couple of games. Really alive. He's currently on my bench to play Brighton, but I think that's going to change. And I think I'm going to have to start him, to be honest. Yeah,
he's looked particularly sharp. I've been very impressed, given, obviously, his price, and his ownership is incredibly low as well. He's only had 3 assists this season, but, I think I'd potentially play him, mate.
For his price, you can't really go wrong. And Anguissa as well. Arguably the best 4.5 mid in the game.
Yeah, very much so. Obviously, Man United, it wasn't really the returns that many people thought we could get. Even as a Bruno owner, I completely disagree that he should get that assist. I've seen people arguing for it, but I think it's bullshit. It's been given to him because of his ownership, in my opinion, from FPL. Because I think they came out with a statement that Areola didn't detract from where he was intending to play the ball. Well, that's bullshit, because it was a cross that missed his target. Areola spilled it to Cavani, and then Cavani scores. So without that spillage, it's not even a save. It's just picking up a cross. So even as a Bruno owner, I was disappointed that was given. And obviously Sky rightfully don't give those kind of assists. So
it's a lack of consistency is what it is, because you had a similar incident with Chilwell, and that one wasn't given. So you give one or you give both. You don't give one or the other.
It's frustrating, because then it causes debate amongst the community, and then people question, who's behind controlling the points in the game. And it's a game at the end of the day, but it is frustrating, because to see, as an owner, I've benefited from that. But as a non-owner, you think, oh, I've got away with that. It's the to be confirmed assist. It shouldn't be given. And then you see that people get points from it. It's a bit frustrating. But the player that we should probably talk about is Paul Pogba.
Yeah, he's potentially back, so to speak. I was very impressed with him in the sort of post-match interview. He spoke really well. Yep. And you can see that on the pitch in his general sort of attitude. Whereas before, he seemed very like he just didn't even want to be there. Yeah. Now he was very much part of the team, and he's doing a job when he's playing now.
Yeah, he looks a lot happier. I've noticed that. And obviously 2 goals in the last 3 games. This goal was stunning. To cut inside, pick that spot, and then rifle it into the bottom corner. I thought, glorious goal. And that's the Paul Pogba we all expect to see. We were questioning his role in the team, during the beginning of the season. Wasn't looking particularly sharp, didn't seem to fit in alongside Bruno, but they found a slot for him now. And it's really playing to his strengths, and his creativity, I think, is definitely showing through. I'm fully expecting him to continue getting returns.
I think so as well. It's like a new signing for Man United. They essentially didn't have him for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
And now they've got him back. The one, they know what he can do. So it's great to have him back in the team. And
Exactly.
obviously with Fernandes as well, it's a new dimension, something they've not really had before. That kind of link up, that creativity, that intelligence between the two of them.
Yep. And obviously we saw, I think it was Rashford got a rest in this game. Greenwood was given the nod. Cavani obviously played. I'm still a bit dubious personally about Cavani. He's a brilliant player. I'm just a bit dubious about his minutes. Like, obviously he played 90 against Burnley and then doesn't start against Liverpool, then plays 90 against Fulham. It seems to be like one on, one off recently. And that would really concern me if you wanted to go in for him, as to kind of which games you pick him for. I think there's probably better value that are cheaper options that you probably get similar returns from.
Agreed. It's a bit too much of a rotation headache for me. Having said that, though, he has been very clinical when he's playing. We've seen that throughout his career. He's a goal scorer.
Yep.
But I want those minutes sort of guaranteed to be putting him in my team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the second last game of the game week, but the last played game, because obviously we've got Aston Villa, Newcastle tomorrow, and arguably the shock of the game week. Liverpool 0, Burnley 1. Who knew Burnley would be the one to end Liverpool's record at Anfield?
Yeah, no one saw this one coming. 68 games unbeaten. It's come to an end at the hands of Ashley Barnes.
Yep.
Fair play. The penalty was deserved. Alisson clips him, and Barnes put it away. Nice, not hard and low. Alisson went the right way, but yeah, resolute display from Burnley. Their defensive performances have picked up recently.
Yeah.
I think you can't think of them now as an easy game, whereas a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, you'd look at Burnley and you think, oh yeah, that's a good fixture. I'll get a West Ham player in or whoever.
I think this is definitely coming back to the Burnley that kind of we know from seasons gone by. They're defensively solid. Pope is obviously continuing his fine form and goal. Made another 6 saves in this game. A couple of saves were brilliant. The talking point at the very beginning, obviously, was the fact that both Salah and Firmino were benched, which was surprising given Liverpool haven't exactly been in the greatest of form. So you would have thought, okay, well, they want to obviously go out, get the win against Burnley. To see them get dropped was interesting, and to see obviously Origi, Shaqiri, they kind of got the nod. Didn't really pay off. He brought them both on, I think it was in the 55th minute. Didn't really make that much of a difference, to be honest. And then Burnley go in and get the win. And it pissed me off a little bit because I had moved KDB onto Robbo in Sky for my main team. Captain Robertson, obviously, was the coverage. Given Salah was benched, that was going to be the move. I thought, okay, well, Robertson will get past into here. He should get, a clean sheet. It'll be a nice return. So that was a bit annoying, but at the same time, I was quite pleased to see that Liverpool Anfield record go. Mainly because my colleague's been pissing me off about it, and no offense to most Liverpool fans, but he can be fucking annoying sometimes.
I'm sure he's a massive gobshite. It's Salah. I was so frustrated. I'm sure I've seen a lot of people captain him in the community, and to come away out of that double game week with, I think it's 8 points from 4 double to 8 is disappointing.
It's not great, is it? And it doesn't look particularly great for Liverpool at all in the next 5-6 weeks, because they play Spurs away, Man City at home, Leicester away, Everton at home. West Ham are on good form. They've got them away. It's still a tough run of games, which is why I was really surprised. You would have thought, seeing that run of games coming up, you'd want to get the win, try and, up your form a bit. See the decisions being made behind the scenes, something just doesn't feel right. And genuinely, I can see the likes of City and Leicester getting wins against Liverpool. And what we were all talking about at the start of the season, that, it's Liverpool's title to lose. They're going to run away with it. They'll be fine. I can't see it now.
Agreed. I think the sort of flair that they don't seem to have that self-belief that they can always pull the result out of the bag, which is what they were doing. Like, you'd always, even in the last 5 minutes, you'd believe that Liverpool were going to win, even if they're 1-0 down. Like, a couple of late goals, it was happening a lot last season, and it's just not happening this season.
No, as soon as Burnley got that goal, and obviously Liverpool then tried to go on their attack, not often do you see Alisson, in the opposition's 18-yard box. That's how desperate they were for a goal, and it just wasn't coming, wasn't it?
No, it really wasn't. Much to my displeasure with Salah.
Yeah. And obviously, we've got one more game of the double game week, which plays tomorrow. Obviously, we're recording on the Friday, and it's Villa Newcastle. And for me, I think it's a really good option, a really good game for Villa to come into. If you've got assets, annoyingly I don't for this double game week, which is frustrating. But I do worry that the likes of Martinez might keep a clean sheet. I can see Grealish maybe getting some attacking returns from this. I think it's a really good game for them.
Well, I hope so, because I own both of them. So I kind of need them to hit 100 points. I'm on 96. If they could just play the game, I should do that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm hoping for more from Grealish, and I'll be delighted with a clean sheet from Martinez.
Yeah. Well, talking about teams then, how have you this week so far?
So yeah, I'm sat on 96, which consists of 2 from Johnston, nothing from Zuma, 12 from Kufau, 18 from Diaz, 7 with Ogbonna, then Salah, Grealish and Son on 8, 2 and 5 respectively. The front 3 of Bamford on 2, Vardy on 4 and Kane on 9. And then my bench, Martinez on 3 with a game to play, Dawson on 8, Lookman on 8, and the King and Guisa on 8.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And you've obviously got 2 to play.
Yeah. Grealish and Martinez to go. So hoping to top 100. And I'll be happy with that.
You'll be joining me in the 100 club. No problem. I can. To be fair, I think you'll overtake me points wise potentially. Come the end, I've hit 110 this week. Johnston obviously with his 2, which was annoying. Fofana obviously only got 6 despite his team keeping a clean sheet in a game where he got subbed early. John Stones was the man for me, 27 points. Like, can't really complain about that. Then Holding with a 6. De Bruyne, frustrating, really frustrating. I triple captained him, thought, yeah, perfect, brilliant triple captaincy. 24 points. I'm a bit annoyed by that. It's 8 points across 2 games. It's not really what I wanted from a triple captain, but I've played it now. Salah obviously got 4, Bruno 8, Souček 4, Antonio with 18. Should have fucking triple captained him, really, shouldn't I? And then Kane and Bamford with 9 and 2 respectively. And I won't bother touching about my bench because a couple of them didn't play and the other 2 got fuck all points. So 110 for me. I'm fairly happy with that. Just a bit worried about this Villa game tomorrow. That's the big thing.
Oh yeah, very nice team. I would have done the same thing with your team. Playing the triple captain on Kevin De Bruyne, you didn't really have the options for a bench boost, so I don't know why you did what you did. And you've still got your bench boost to play. I've still got the captain to play, so that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Obviously, last season we saw triple captaincy. You had it with Mane, and you got 1 triple to 3. You got injured, didn't play the second game. It's just, it happens in this kind of thing. Obviously, you've got Jamie Vardy. With the news that he could be out for a few weeks, what are you thinking? And then I'll go on to my views about De Bruyne afterwards.
Well, yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm contemplating. There's 3 options really. I can just take Vardy out, straight swap. I can do a hit and use the funds from Vardy to downgrade Vardy and upgrade someone else, which is what I'm potentially going to do. I could do a -8. I could upgrade, I think, Grealish to Fernandes and then downgrade Vardy to, I think, Wilson.
Okay.
But I'm not sure on that because it's a hits involved. Or I can wildcard and literally just spread everything around. Funds-wise, there's a few moves I want to do. Quite a few moves I want to do, to be honest. But I'm not sure. Like, I feel like my team's in a relatively good place, so it feels a bit extreme to wildcard.
Yeah. When you text me... When you text me earlier that you were considering wildcard, I was shocked because it doesn't feel like the right time to be wildcarding. Obviously, we know that we've got the big double game week 26 and then the blank game week 29 to come. And we'll know a lot more about double game week 26 following this set of FA Cup fixtures. And obviously keep an eye on Ben Crellin because he'll be on the spot with that one. But yeah, I think we'll know because we'll obviously see which teams are then progressing, and it just makes it more likely that we'll have a better understanding of who we could be bringing in up to game week 26. And then obviously that coverage for the blank afterwards. For me, you mentioned getting rid of Jack Grealish. I don't think I would. I think Grealish is a hold.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
To be honest, that it would only be to get Fernandes in, but I don't really want to get rid of any midfielders. To be honest, I've got Son. I guess I could get rid of Salah, but I'm reluctant.
Possibly. That's a debate I think a lot of us are having, isn't it? Is Salah worth it at the moment? In my opinion, no. 12.5 million. Yeah, he's still 38% owned in the game, but he's had 5 blanks in a row, and I can't remember a time when Mo Salah blanked 5 times. It's mad, like, to think of it. And yeah, like we've said, looking at those fixtures coming up really doesn't fill me with confidence that he's going to go big in any of these games. So to have that value sitting there when you've probably got the likes of, Son, for instance, if you don't have him, I don't have him, you can move on there. And you've even got cheaper assets if you wanted to attack Man United. You've got your Rashfords, for instance, that you can move to. You can definitely spread your funds. It's just whether you want to take the hits to do it. And that's the biggest concern.
I don't think I do. I'm a bit more conservative with my hits this year. And I was last year as well, and that was a good season for me.
Yeah.
Potentially I could do Salah down to Bruno and get a bit of money, but obviously then I'll be stuck with Jamie Vardy for a week. So then I'll be playing, I don't know, Lookman and benching Vardy, but obviously I want to get rid of Vardy. So
yeah,
I feel like Vardy has to go first, but I don't want to miss out on that Bruno fixture against Sheffield United.
No, I think that's the main one, isn't it? Obviously, on the other side, we've also had the news, like we've said, that KDB is now out for 6 weeks, and it could be longer. And in that time, he's an asset. He's got the value. You've got to get rid, in my opinion. And obviously, I've started to look at who I could bring in. Arguably, I think if I was going to play it safe, and I may well do, I'll probably just go De Bruyne to Son. Bank the money. I can see you there, but I can bank the funds, and then I can upgrade Walker Peters, for instance, to a Diash or a Cancelo, and then I can have double City defence, and then Son sitting there, because I really like Spurs' fixtures. Obviously, they've got Liverpool, which is tough on paper. I think it could be a good game, and then they've got the games, for instance, of Brighton, West Brom, West Ham, Chelsea. I think there's goals in there. And when Kane and Son's partnership, I don't want to miss out on that. Again, obviously, I got rid of one previously for this wild card. It's paid off. I've shot up the ranks, but I think it's probably time to get back on. If I was feeling more ballsy,
I'd rather you own KDB for this period, and if he hadn't got injured, you probably would have done.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating. I feel like it makes sense. I would do the same thing. I'd move to Son, but I'm just hoping you'll go for someone else.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I'm tempted to take a -4 this week and just bring in the double City defence and bring in Son, only because of the 3 fixtures that Man City have got coming up. Obviously, West Brom, Sheffield United, Burnley. I can see 3 clean sheets in there. And I think it'll more than make up for the -4. So it would probably save me having to play the likes of Rafinha or Souček in games that I particularly don't want to play them in. So I might just make that move. Obviously, I'll wait until after the FA Cup games. I've seen a lot of people already making the moves to, avoid the fucking price drops. I think it's ridiculous because we've still got a full set of fixtures that people can get injured, get COVID, who knows. So that's fucking weird.
I've already made my transfer.
You're an idiot. Honestly, you're a fucking idiot.
Not based on price rises. I just wanted to do it. So I wanted to get out Kurt Zuma because I just wanted to get the fuck out of my team. I know I want him out, so I've got him out. And then I've brought in Mr. 27, Mr. John Stones.
Of course you have.
Now I'm Stones and Diaz.
Yeah.
It was a no-brainer for me. I knew I wanted to do it. So I was like, right, I'm doing it now before I change my mind and fuck about with something else.
That's fair.
I get distracted.
It's understandable because Zuma's kind of lost this place, so you're hopefully moving on to someone that one might even get a rest this weekend. We've heard the likes of Garcia and Laporte are back in training. They could potentially get games, so you might be all right there. But when people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely moving De Bruyne on to Madison or moving him on to Gundogan," like now, if you've not already done it, I wouldn't until after these games. That's my advice for this one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about price changes like we normally would. Like I don't. I just really wanted to do that move.
Yeah,
So
and you're not going to get priced out of a move because if you're moving De Bruyne on, you're not moving sideways. You're probably at minimum moving down to Son, like I potentially am, and there's value in there. So, right, I think we should jump onto Sky this week. How did you get on?
So, relatively well with both teams. However, I did use 5 transfers in both teams.
Nice.
It wasn't so like I wasn't like banking the points and then moving on to someone else. It was more a case of injuries or people not in form or not being picked. So I didn't actually get many points from it in terms of the people coming out, but I got points from the people I brought in. So I brought in John Stones in Team 1.
Nice.
Obviously a very good decision before both of the games.
More than made up for it, yeah.
Yeah, 38 points for Stones. My Team 1 got 149 points. I had a back free delivering of Stones on 38, Diaz on 20, Holding on 20. That alone was really impressive. I had Antonio in there, KDB in there. So that brought my team up from about 23,000 up to 12,000.
Nice.
So a big rise. And in my second team, I got a little bit less points. I got 137. I only had Stones for the second game, but that was still a good 9-point display. I had Captain Kane. I had Justin in there for 17 points. Diaz on 20, Holding on 20. And that's got me a rise from 6K, like 6.5K to 4K. So I'm happy with how that team's doing now.
Yeah, no, very, very tidy. And obviously the transfers that you say, like you'd expect, most people suggest that a transfer is potentially worth, say, 10 points because you might want to bring him in for a captaincy or, a game that you want to attack. So the fact that you immediately got 29 points from that one game for bringing John Stone in, it shows that if you try and make those attacking moves occasionally, it pays off. And you
exactly. I brought in Holding in both teams. I didn't have a captaincy asset for the game. I didn't have any Arsenal or Newcastle players. So that's 20 points right there. So it paid off. Don't be scared to do some of those moves.
No, definitely not. For me, I made 4 transfers in my main team this week. Obviously, Zuma was a problem. So I ended up taking him out. Took out De Bruyne following his injury. So that was a move. I went KDB to Robbo last night, like I've said. I took out Leno, brought in Martinez just for coverage for the Aston Villa game, really. So I needed a bit of coverage there. Didn't really particularly want to take the gamble on Grealish, just in case with his yellow cards, because we haven't touched on it yet. But I think a team has to play 19 games, obviously for the yellow cards, the 5 yellow cards to then roll over. Villa have only played 16 games. So if Grealish gets booked in any one of the next 3, he misses a game. So that's just in the back of my mind.
How many games have Man United played?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because Bruno's on 4 as well.
I think 18, but I'd need to double check.
Yeah, because it's the same problem with Bruno. Because
because a lot of us were obviously concerned that he'd potentially miss the Sheffield United game, and that's not a game we really wanted to miss, do we? So yeah, thankfully he got through the last couple of games. But yeah, the Grealish thing has just been a bugbear of mine because I don't really want to bring him in, and I didn't want to bring him in at the point where I kind of had to financially to then see him miss out on Saturday anyway. So I thought it was the best move to make. I got 140 points in my main team. I was a little bit disappointed. It sounds silly, but I've seen better scores. I'm still 53rd though, so I can't really complain. A small rank drop, but at this time of the season, I think it's good. A couple of weeks before overhaul, hoping that I don't have to make any more moves before overhaul, which will leave me with 17 transfers left, which It's slightly less than I wanted, but obviously
It's a great position, Matt. You're 50th of 17 transfers. You're laughing.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be all right. My aim originally was 20. I wanted 20 transfers, like halfway. But yeah, just injury after injury, and people are still going to have to make moves. Obviously, with the Vardy news, people are going to have to move him on. You don't want to hold that value till overhaul. If you've still got KDB, you're going to move him on. So I'm comfortable. I'm happy with that. In my other team, that's at 69th in the world at the moment, but I don't give a shit about that rank because that's my cup team, and it's through to the quarterfinals, which I am fucking shitting it.
Well, you're flying our flag. I hope you get the grand.
So do I, mate.
The glory, though, winning the cup, man, that'd be straight in your bio.
Oh, 100%. But I'm not counting my chickens just yet. It's there. I know who I'm playing. I don't think he's on Twitter, which is annoying. I haven't found him. I've been doing some digging, but I know that he put out FPL Panda a couple of weeks ago. So I had a message from Panda saying, go and do it for the team. So fingers crossed I can get the win and get into the semi-final. I think I'm fairly well set in this team. I've got De Bruyne is a problem. I've got 8 transfers left with obviously the quarters, the semi, and then hopefully the final. If I have to, honestly, I'll use all my transfers by the final and I'll go into it with 0 because the runner-up gets 250 quid anyway. And I never expected to get this far in the cup. So I can't really complain about that. But I've got 2 transfers in mind. One of them, I think I might bring in Grealish if he's obviously confirmed starting tomorrow, just to try and get on board with it. And then it'll just be about seeing the game week, really, seeing how that progresses against my opponent, see what the score is, and then make the moves that way. If I only have to use 2 transfers, brilliant, because then it means that I've got 6 going into hopefully the semi and then the final. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'll obviously let you all know next week how it's gone on. But fingers crossed. Honestly, I'm getting nervous.
I'm getting nervous for you, mate. As each round progresses, it gets more and more tense. But yeah, we're all rooting for you.
I couldn't go to sleep last night until I saw whether I'd got through, because in my head I was going over so many scenarios, and obviously I brought in Matip, who then didn't hit passing tier, which I expected him to, and then didn't keep a clean sheet. And in my head I was like, right, if my opponent's got Robertson, who hit passing tier, then that's 10. I've only got 2 from a captain because Matip got booked. If we've both got Mane, then all right, I'm safe. But if he's got the likes of Thiago, then I'm fucked. So I couldn't sleep.
Don't blame you.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying Sky, and I've had a lot of good feedback, and there's a lot of good people out there with both content and opinions. So we'll keep going with it. Right, let's jump on to the joy that was Champman last night, and I'll go first this time. So far better week, 76 points. Fair to say I was pleased, and mainly down to the big man, Mark Viduka. Obviously, the prick has been scoring the last couple of weeks as I brought in Rebrov. I think even Luke Disable commented last week about my rant of the fact that, I'd had Rebrov and all this, that, and the next then. Well, yeah, I went back to Viduka, captained him, against the RVN captainers without doubt, and benefited from it. So 76 points. It was Jaskalainen, obviously, with a very surprising clean sheet against Liverpool. I'll take that. 6 points there. So Lauren and Sylvester both got some decent returns and bonus of 7 apiece. My midfield's a bit annoying. Stephen Hughes is fucking me off. I'm going to have to move him on. Honestly, it's been a bad smell on my team for the last few weeks now. He started off well, didn't he, in the season, and now he's a bit shit. So I think he's the one next to go. Whether I take Zepeda, I'm not so sure. I'll have to have a think about it, because I might even downgrade him, and then I'll have the extra funds to potentially upgrade Christie, maybe back to the likes of One Shot. Don't know. I'll have to have a look.
No, fair enough. Yeah, don't blame me for being frustrated with Hughes. I lost my tether last week.
You did, yeah.
Brought in Zepeda this week, and worked wonders. Helped me get 59 points. 6 for Jaskalainen, 6 for Cole. Hippier went off, which was a massive disappointment. But then I guess he couldn't score against Jaskalainen. So rough with the smooth.
Yeah.
3 points from Tome coming in with his bonus for Ian Hart, who didn't play, which was a bit frustrating, but obviously we've seen it. It's happening a lot. However, he is capable off of the bench, so I remained hopeful, but obviously he didn't come on. So a bit disappointing. Midfield 4 of GX is it Zepeda and Petkov. Zepeda the only return there. I expected a little bit more from Petkov. I was quite disappointed, as was the season keepers community team.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just about to touch on that. That was obviously we had the poll out, and we thought, brilliant. This is the opportunity for people to captain someone other than Van Nistelrooy with his 90% yellow flag. Thankfully, the community, went elsewhere. We were all dubious and, not dubious, joyous about it. And then Petkov goes and gets 2 points, and then Van Nistelrooy obviously gets a goal. So the community team only got 50 points. It was disappointing at the end of the day, but it's still doing well. It's only just behind your team, to be fair, and given it's a dead team, it's all right.
Isn't it ahead?
No, so you've looking at the leaderboard now. You've gone ahead by 8 points.
Get in there.
Finally overtaken a dead team.
It's a badge of honour. Jason Ewell up front for me on 6, Van Nistelrooy on 8, and Boxic, my captain, 7 to 14. So actually kind of lost out 2 points or 1 point from being brave, but there we go.
No, exactly. But I really enjoyed. I had the Man United game on at the same time on my phone. But yeah, the fact that I think you've got Boxic as well, don't you? So you might have a couple of problems to solve following the stream this week when we potentially see, injuries and that kind of stuff. I think there's quite a lot of people that might have at least a couple of injuries in the squad going into the next week of fixtures.
Yeah, thankfully I have 2 free transfers, so I should be able to fix it with no real issues if he is, say, going to miss out. But what I don't want is like kind of like 88, 85, 90% kind of scenario where I'm tempted to like keep him and then he doesn't even feature. So
no, exactly.
We'll see how it goes. But sure. We've got a lot of questions this week, so
we do. Yeah. I was going to say, there's quite a few questions on FPL, Sky and Champman, so I think we should get stuck into them. We'll start off with FPL Buddy. With Salah off form and KDB potentially out, can we look at Maddison and Rashford for their upcoming runs?
Maddison, I'd say yes. I do think Leicester will be worse off without Vardy. However, Maddison is more than capable of producing on his own from free kicks or shots outside the box. So I still think he's a good asset to get on, especially with his price.
Yeah, no, for me, I was edging towards Maddison. But obviously the Vardy news concerns me a little bit. Rashford, I think he's quite a nice option, albeit, more expensive. And arguably, he hasn't exactly been in the best form himself, although I do expect that to improve. And given Man United have a good set of fixtures coming up, I think he could be worth a punt. And either way, like we've said, if you're moving off of KDB, it will free up funds. So definitely something to consider. Next question in is from FPL Ray Gooner. So, would you guys move Robbo on in FPL? I have Stones, and I'm tempted to switch Robbo to Cancelo for the City double up and use the cash to upgrade elsewhere.
I would. It's not a good run for Liverpool. And while City are performing so well at the back, it makes sense to move on to a City asset. Yeah. Obviously, you don't have that potential for assists like you do with Robertson, but for that saving that 2 million, you might as well.
Yeah, for me, if I owned him, I'd probably be considering it as well. But I guess it depends on how long term you see the move. Like we've said, Man City have got really good set of 3 fixtures, and then after that, on paper, it's a really tricky 4, 5, 6 games. Yeah, they might still keep clean sheets. We've spoken about how defensively resolute they look, but it's whether you think that move will be viable. For me, I'd probably do it, but I'm not sure I'd do it for a hit. So if it was your only move, go for it. If you may be looking to take a -4, I think Robertson can still come up with the odds, attack and return as well as potentially clean sheets. So It's a tough one. It is a tough one. Um, we've had a question in from our good friend Clark West, and I know he'll love that name call. He sent us a message on WhatsApp, didn't he? So we thought we'd put it on the pod. Here we go. Help me out, lads, with FPL. Who to go for a striker-wise now Vardy is out? I've got Cavani and Watkins and 10 million to play with, but I don't have a clue what to do. He's also sent us a screenshot of his team, which helps a little bit in answering this question, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I'd be contemplating a downgrade of Vardy to Antonio, and then using those funds to get Cavani up to Kane, because I think whether you want to do that in one swift move for a hit or over the course of 2 weeks is up to you. But yeah, mate, I think Antonio, you've got to go for him in this.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I think we're in complete agreement. Like, when I saw his team, I mean, this is his midfield, for instance. He's got Bruno, Son, Maddison, Gundogan, and Grealish. You're not going to touch that, in my opinion. So I think the only moves he should make is going forward. And yeah, for me, as soon as he said Vardy, that he wants to move on and he's got 10 million to play with, my immediate move was, downgrade into Antonio. He then mentioned, obviously, in the chat that we had about Cavani being, United's best striker and blah, blah, blah. And we're all aware of that. I think he arguably is. But like I've said, I'm concerned about his minutes. Whereas if you move Cavani onto Kane, you've then got the Spurs double up. And I think Kane outscores Cavani over the next 6 games, for instance. So those are the 2 moves. I didn't really want to answer this question because obviously he's in our mini league, and I don't really don't want him catching me. But we're an FPL podcast, so we've got to do the good deed and answer the question. So there you go, mate. Right, we've got a few questions in from David Strom. First of all, Sky question. What would you consider to be a good rank to end on in Sky as a beginner? And it's quite a good one for us because we're both beginners.
Yeah, we are. And it's hard for me to say what I think a good rank is. I don't have as good a feel about ranks as I do in FPL, but I'm aiming as high as possible. And I feel like anything in the top 5K is an excellent rank for a beginner.
Yeah. I think my initial aim at the beginning of the season was top 1K. I'm in a good little Sky chat that was set up by Rob Pick and Korf. So quite a good little community we've got going on there. And that seemed to be the general kind of opinion was, a beginner, if you're aiming top 1K, I think you've done exceptionally well. So if you can achieve that, but yeah, anywhere probably up to 5K, I still think is a brilliant rank. It means that you've got the strategy right. You kind of have the understanding of the game. And then next season, you've then got the platform to build on. So, right. FPL question in from David Strom now. With United finding form, who are the go-to picks apart from Bruno?
So yeah, obviously Bruno and Pogba are the key standouts. But also Luke Shaw does have potential. He's cheap. He's 4.8 million. He got 2 bonus points in both of the last 2 games where they got clean sheets. Yep. So if you're looking for funds, potentially go on to him. However, I'd be more inclined to go for Pogba. He's obviously, as we said earlier, he's been a breath of fresh air recently. He's playing well. He just seems more confident and less arrogant. So I feel like he's worth a punt, definitely.
No, I think you're right there. The fact that he comes across as less arrogant and more kind of like committed to the team, I think that's brilliant. For me, yeah, Pogba and Rashford are probably the 2. Pogba, obviously, like we've said, found his form. He has that role now within the 11. And honestly, as much as Rashford's form hasn't been great, I still expect him to pick up returns. So yeah, I'd probably go those 2. Cavani is a rotation worry, like I've already said. So personally, I wouldn't go there. But Man United are a good team to attack. Final question in from David. He's obviously covered all 3 of the topics that we like to cover anyway. Was a Champman question. So if you could rewatch a match in real life from the Champman era, which one would that be?
I would go for the first game at St Mary's. Role like supporting Newcastle. I actually went to the first game at St Mary's, but in the away end at Sporting Newcastle with a 1-1 draw and Bellamy scoring. But yeah, I'd love to be there and experience just the first game at St Mary's when it opened. Obviously, further back in time, I'll go to the Dell.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like that's my immediate thought was I would have loved to have been at St Mary's. Obviously, there's so many games back in the day. You had the likes of Thierry Henry. I'd have loved to have seen him play. That just would have been a dream. I followed him, kind of watched him on TV time and time again. He's such an exceptional player, and it's one of those players that I really wish I'd got to see live, but didn't. Living in Scotland at the time, didn't really want to make the trip down, did I? So, but yeah, I think the first game at St Mary's, I think it was 25th of August 2001. Obviously, we lost 2-0, I believe, that day, but I'd have loved to have been there. Didn't move down south until 2003, so a 500-mile trip down and then a 500-mile trip back to watch a 2-0 loss would have been quite disappointing, but we've done that. We've been to Sunderland away and seen us lose, haven't we, mate? So
we certainly have. One not to remember. Was it a pen that we gave away? A pen, had a red card for Tadic.
Oh, it was horrendous. It was like the longest day of my life. It was 20 hours on a coach or something like that to then see us lose, and then the coach got diverted because there was an accident on the way home, and it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, terrible way that one.
Right. We got a question in from Abdul. It's a Champman question. Who would be your best Blackburn midfielder?
Now, I was actually contemplating getting one of the Blackburn midfielders for GX this week with my second free transfer. I didn't actually use my second transfer in the end, but perhaps I should have done because I was 0.5 off of getting Duff, who are considered to be the best Blackburn midfielder. But for that reason, I was going for De Boer at 6 million, and he returned. So I didn't do it because he was away from home. Obviously, the sim data said they were going to do well, but I just didn't feel it. I felt like in our sim, it might have been the one where Everton actually did turn up. But yeah, it went the way of the sim data, to be honest, and I kind of regret not doing the move.
I think Blackburn are quietly going about their business, and their midfield assets are cheaper. But yeah, instantly for me, I'd say Ronald De Boer. Like, he occasionally plays up top. He's been consistently involved. I think he's got 3 goals and an assist this season so far. Only 6 million, so you can't really complain about that. And I was looking at the stats on Whitebeard's data website, and he has more than double the shots of any other Blackburn midfielder. So for me, I'd be going Ronald De Boer, and I am still tempted personally. Next question in from Abdul was an FPL question. So, are City's attacking options still viable with KDB out, or could triple defence be the way forward?
I think, the attacking options aren't really that appealing. They weren't appealing anyway with KDB, but now he's the last beacon of light that's been extinguished. So you're only really going to be looking at Gundogan at that price. But yeah, the defence is just so much more appealing with the likes of Diaz and Stones that it's hard to look away from them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a nice way of putting it. KDB is a beacon of light that slowly dwindles. But I think defence is probably the way to go. Like I've said earlier, I think both Gundogan and Foden could potentially benefit. They're getting minutes now anyway, but they could benefit potentially even further with KDB not playing. They might find, more of an advanced role, more of a creative output in the squad. Sterling is always worth a punt because he's always got it in his locker to haul, but it just hasn't looked likely recently. But you never know. Like, he could bring, a performance, get a hat-trick in any game. And obviously, if you're trying to chase rank, might be worth the gamble there because not many people are going to make that move. Question in from Rob Reed, and it's Champman related. Which teams do you think have the best fixtures for attacking returns over the next 4 game weeks?
For me, Blackburn have a good run. Even in the away ties, they aren't too tricky. I think it's Villa and Leicester. And Leeds and Arsenal obviously also have favourable runs. I was actually looking to move on Ashley Cole, but because of the run, I've ended up keeping him.
Yeah, no, I think that's understandable. I'd be keeping him there. And I know a lot of people are potentially looking at Thierry Henry. Obviously, he got a goal yesterday. They've got a nice set of fixtures coming up, which I know that Craig Kemp and Dronach were referring to on Craig's little pod. He didn't obviously go into too much detail about the point in which he wanted to bring him in, but I think if we're into this game and you analyse the fixtures enough, I think, yeah, we all know that Henry is going to be a good asset for potentially a good 4 or 5 fixtures. So it's just whether he's still broken in this sim. Like, you know, he gets the odd goal here and there, but then he gets the odd 58th minute appearance and sometimes doesn't even play. So that's a worry. But for me, yeah, Man United, Leeds, Arsenal, I think are the obvious ones. Leicester and Aston Villa, if you look at it as well, I think they could be quite good teams to attack. Also, keep a good close look on the CM Fantasy videos. I know he listens. Appreciate it. And obviously, both of us then watch his stream every week. But he now does a handy little analysis at the end of those pods, which I think is brilliant. He kind of analyses the next 4 games and a little spreadsheet for us of kind of the best defensive and attacking outputs. So maybe check that out as well, mate. All right, and then a couple of questions in from one of our favourites, Steve Bird. And he starts off with an amusing one. It's, what is your favourite board game and which one makes you flip the board like a petulant child, a.k.a. Donald Trump?
Well, for me, I quite enjoy Risk. I enjoy the sort of tactical element.
Love Risk.
Yeah, it's good.
Love
it's good fun. Could do with some more people to play it, but it's just me and my girlfriend up here. It's better with a few more players. But yeah, the one that infuriates me, and I'm sure it is for many people, is Monopoly, obviously.
Yeah, can't stand it. Honestly, if you're not involved, if you're not doing well in Monopoly in the first 15, 20 minutes, is there any point in playing? Because you just lose interest. And as soon as people start putting fucking hotels on Mayfair, then the game's fucked anyway. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Monopoly. And in fairness, I don't really play that many board games. Like you said, Risk for me is my favourite one. Doesn't matter what version. There's so many versions out there, whether it's a Lord of the Rings, a Game of Thrones, or, you know, your standard Risk. I love it. I like the fact that you can kind of try and make like dodgy little dealings over the table with other people, or you can kind of give them the eye and you can fuck someone over. We were around a friend's house one point and I completely fucked over Ellie, my fiance, with my mate Dale, because we were just attacking her completely and she wasn't even noticing. She didn't realize, which just made it all the more amusing. But there is another game, I can't remember the name of it at all. I played it just before lockdown, and it's kind of like Risk, but it's involved in trains. So you've kind of got to lay out each of your train carriages to make a run. And then if you complete the run on the board, you then get like a card. And I can't remember the name of it, but really, really fun game. So I'll have to find out and then let people know. But the second question, so Steve rightly says, on to a more serious question. Is a midfield of Maddison, Grealish, Bruno, Smith Rowe and Souček a viable option? And I am thinking long term.
For me, it just feels a little bit light. I feel like it's reliant on Smith Rowe and Souček maintaining form. I think I'm more concerned with the former maintaining form. Obviously, at that price bracket, you can't really complain and you could bench him. But yeah, I agree. It's worth keeping faith with Souček though, as his returns are sporadic. So I wouldn't just jump off of him straight away after this double game week. But yeah, I'd feel like I'd need a bit more steel in that midfield.
Yeah, agreed in terms of it feeling a little bit like it's hard because obviously I don't know the rest of your teammate. So I don't know who you've got up top or, you know, whether you've got big at the back. But for me, it probably feels like you're maybe missing someone like Son. I know I keep banging on about Son, but I love him. And that's why I'm bringing him back. But it depends on where you want to go. It does feel a little bit like if you're, say, playing Maddison, Smith Rowe and Souček all at once, the likelihood of all three of them returning is slim in the same week. So you're reliant on maybe your forward line picking up points, and that often doesn't happen. So yeah, maybe take a look at that. But if you want, send us a DM, mate, with your actual team, and then we could have a proper look there.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I'll make some suggestions.
Yeah, right. I think that draws to the end. Quite a lengthy pod, but obviously double game week. We want to cover it as best as we can, and that's why we've done this Friday record again. Next week, I believe we're also going to do a Friday record, and we may also have a little surprise for people on that pod. It's going to get confirmed, hopefully, and then we'll mention it next week, but we'll keep that one in our pocket for now, won't we?
We will.
Right. It's been a pleasure talking to you, mate. good luck, obviously, for the upcoming game week. Hopefully you all get a chance to listen to this pod before that. There's a good 5 days before the game week rather than one now. So thank you very much for all your questions, and thanks for listening. And it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. Cheers, guys.
Pleasure, folks. Cheers.